So the scene is January 1980, and we're in Afghanistan. I'm with UPI. And so the Soviets have invaded, and they've let in 20 American journalists from around the world. So the name of the game is the Soviets are trying to hide. They don't want us to find them. They don't want us to know they're there. So we all divide up into different groups. So as a wire service guy, I teamed up with Chicago Tribune, Jim Gallagher, and Pepper Martin of the U.S. News and World Report. So the idea that you team up with different people made a lot of sense because it was a dangerous place. And if you could find non-competitive people, that made a lot of sense. So one day, we were on the rounds in taxis, old taxis, Mercedes taxis in Kabul, and we stopped by the U.S. Embassy. So Jim Gallagher and I walked into the embassy, and here was the military attaché who said, the Soviets have sent a division of 10,000 troops toward the Straits of Hormuz. What? What? This was the beginning of World War III. If the Soviets invaded the Straits of Hormuz and occupied that critical body of water, it was game over for our supply of oil from that part of the world. It was a worst fear for hundreds of years that the Soviets would drive for the Straits of Hormuz. So Jim and I knew that we had to get this story out. So there was going to be a briefing at 2 o'clock for all the other journalists. We knew this exclusively at this time. The next flight was at 4 o'clock. And to get anything out of Kabul in those days, there was no telex, no telephone, no internet, no nothing. The only way to get anything out of the country was to pigeon it out on an airplane. And so as a wire service guy, people would meet every flight coming out of New Delhi with a big sign saying UPI. So we dashed back to our hotel, and I wrote out, bulletin, the Soviet Union is headed for the Straits of Hormuz, according to Western diplomatic sources. And so Jim wrote his story. We packed it up. We rushed to the airport and made it by 12:30 or 1 o'clock. There already were people there getting ready to get on the plane. So we were able to give it to them, and they said, yes, we'll take it to New Delhi. So then the briefing at 2 o'clock was a problem because all the other people would then learn about what was going on, including the Associated Press. So how could we deal with stopping this? So we agreed that we would delay the whole press conference, the whole briefing. So it went on for 30 or 45 minutes. All the other guys got really very excited. And then Jim and I sat in and said, will you spell the name of that province they're going through again? And what was the name of that motorized division? Was that 65 or 66? So all the guys were looking around the table at us and thinking, are you guys out of your mind? We got to get this story on the 4 o'clock flight. So we were able to delay it 15 or 20 minutes. We kept this going, and people were just they were so upset with us. But we had a strategy. Our stories were on that plane. Their stories weren't. It worked. By the next day, my story was out. Went all around the world. UPI, Kabul. Soviets make move on the Straits of Hormuz. The Associated Press couldn't get the story out that day or the next day because we were snowed in. So this was either the story of how I helped prevent World War III or how I beat the AP. I think I prefer beating the AP.